Hi, everybody. Hi. From New York City, I'm Kay Kostopoulos. I am here in residency for Stanford and New York, here in New York City, and I am coming to the end of a 3-month tenure, and I've been enjoying every moment teaching acting and sharing my professional experiences with my class. I've been inviting colleagues and former students and teachers to share their experiences with my students in the professional world of New York. And I've been able to see all these amazing artists and theater artists while I've been here. I'm very, very grateful for that. And I want to thank Gail Boyd for inviting me to talk a little bit about myself and my jazz journey. And I've been thinking about how I got started as a jazz vocalist. So first of all, I have to say that things always come to me late in life. After performing as an actor and a dancer and a teacher for many years, I got started in music. And I connected with so many great jazz artists. And this is what I feel is my connection to human greatness. When I was a kid, I always sang with my family around the table, and we loved harmony. That's how I learned harmony. We didn't have any instruments in the house. We would just vocalize. I come from a Greek family in Baltimore, and that's how I learned to sing and to harmonize with my family. And we would sit around the table and we would sing standards from the 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. That's how I learned the words to all these songs. I already knew them, and I had forgotten about them for years. And then when I started studying jazz and singing jazz, it all came back to me. And as an actress, I worked as an actress for most of my life before I was vocalist. I always sang in plays, but nothing really appealed to me as much as singing standards did. So after acting and dancing, I've also been a professional dancer for many years, I decided to turn to jazz. And because I was a teacher, I decided to take it very seriously and study it. I've always loved school. I've always loved taking classes. I still do. And I listen to all the greats. I listen to Ella, Sarah, Anita O'Day, Betty Carter, who is my favorite. And I especially love the way that Betty Carter works with time. You know, it's just such loose time. And I wanted to really try to be the best I could. I didn't want to just be, you know, the chick singer in the black dress, although that's very enjoyable, but I wanted to learn. So the way that I decided to learn was I started at City College of San Francisco. I was the oldest person in the class. And I was mocked a little bit for that, for my age, by the young aces in the class, but I didn't care, you know. Here I was trying to learn music, you know, after having been a teacher, actor, dancer for so many years. But I had a great teacher there, and his name was David Hardiman. And he really introduced me to jazz. I took his class for 2 years. I just kept repeating it, and we would learn how to build scales. We would learn how to read. We would have jam sessions during the class where we would improvise on tunes. And David was so supportive. I remember he put me in the advanced group because he said, you know, you're more mature than the other people. Yeah, I was more mature, all right. And the other thing that really drove me to jazz was Johnny Hartman and John Coltrane album. So I loved that album. I played it and played it and played it. And I learned Lush Life as one of my earliest endeavors. Boy, talk about a challenge and a big leap. And I sang that song. I took a cabaret class with a teacher called Billy Philadelphia. And that was my first public appearance singing Lush Life, believe it or not. And I also studied at City College with the guitarist Lenny Carlson, who worked with me every Tuesday we would work on standards and finding my key and so forth. So I'm very, very grateful to Lenny. And from that, I met Larry Vukovich, who very, very famous piano player. And he was very, very generous with me. And also Cy Perkoff, who is an excellent piano player. So these generous souls really informed my singing. They believed in me. They knew I was serious about it, and just moved me forward. And Larry introduced me to Noel Jukes, who really changed my life. He upped my game 100%. Taught me so much about music, and I still work with Noel today. He's a wonderful, wonderful reed player, in case you don't know him already. And I have so many collaborators now. I work with beautiful singer Roberta Donay. I love her dearly. And another singer that I love to work with is Valeriana Quevedo. And just having moved to New York recently really opened up all these new connections. I went to see Jamie Davis at Birdland. I saw Vicki Burns at Pangea. And I was privy to a wonderful recording session with Clifford Lamb and bassist Christian McBride. So that was pretty amazing, my whole experience since I've been here. But I started out with Noel Jukes about 10 years ago, and I work with him as a lyricist on a lot of his originals, and he is so supportive of my sound. So my sound really, my music is a combination of a lot of different elements. First of all, I'm an actor, so there's a lot of theatricality about it, perhaps too much. Maybe I'm not cool enough to be in jazz. I'm very theatrical. And a lot of it has to do with my ethnic heritage, which is Greek. So I like a lot of Middle Eastern influences, and I use a lot of rhythmic variety. I work with finger cymbals, and I'll take them out in a minute and show them to you. But the finger cymbals, they're an offshoot of my work as a belly dancer. So I was a belly dancer for 18 years, and there's sometimes not enough respect for that discipline, I find. But belly dancing has its roots in an ethnic history. It's rich in tradition. It has very precise musicality and very precise technique. So I use them, finger cymbals, in a lot of my work, and especially in my album Exotica. So you can see a video of me playing these finger cymbals. Here they are. That's on my website, and I talk a lot about where my finger cymbals come from and how I use them. And I use them in a lot of different rhythms. Let's say, so in Night in Tunisia, I play a 6/8 on them, right? And also in Caravan, I do a 6/8. And I do a lot of something called shiftatelli. I play with various Middle Eastern rhythms, and I think they go great with jazz because actually belly dance and jazz have a lot in common, believe it or not. Middle Eastern music have a lot of similarities. So the way that it's set up is there's a theme in the beginning, and then the band breaks out into improvisation. Then there's a drum solo, and then it returns to the theme. Very, very similar to jazz. I use these finger cymbals. I think Dizzy would have liked them on Night in Tunisia. Yusef Lateef uses them frequently in his music. And I just wanted to show you for a minute what they're like. They're a little bit loud to have on this platform, but like I said, you can hear them on my website, blackolivejazz.com. But a lot of people think that they're castanets, but they're not. They're metal. Castanets are usually wooden, and finger cymbals are metal. So some of my jazz collaborators love them. Noel loves them. I'm so grateful for that. And some people are like, well, that's not jazz. And, you know, they don't really enjoy them when I play them at gigs, but they don't have to work with me. It's fine. I think that it's like Duke says, it's beyond category. And I think that drummers frequently love to collaborate with me on them. And I'm very grateful for percussionists that really dig that sound. So I was invited to teach at Stanford in New York this last quarter. And really what that's all about is part of my mission as an educator. I've been at Stanford for 25 years, teaching acting, teaching theater, teaching in the business school. And I'm always trying to give students a pathway into the arts. I feel there's a deep connection between acting and singing. And I try to keep the arts alive in this way. I'm trying to connect everything. The acting element, the dancing element, the singing element. And I really feel like the survival of the arts depends on education. So that's why I'm always anxious to keep sharing my art, to keep teaching, to keep people opening their eyes, opening their ears, lifting their hearts to experience music and performance. So it's really a personal journey for me. It's a spiritual journey for me. And just like acting, I try to incorporate a lot of spiritual components in my music. Noel wrote this beautiful tune, Life Stream, that I wrote lyrics to. That can be, you'll find it. It's on Amazon. It's on all kinds of things. It's on Noel's Orange album, Life Stream. And I wrote the lyrics to that because it's about a journey through life. And I also wrote lyrics to Wayne Shorter's Footprints. It's also a spiritual journey that I wrote about footprints. And that's also on YouTube and also on Facebook if you want to go to hear my lyrics to Footprints. So I try to connect all these things through my music life, of course, rhythm, which means so much to me. That's probably, I think, my strongest skill as a singer is I'm very rhythmical. I also have a good ear for the changes, the chords, which is why I love the bass so much. I love bass and drums, and that connection that I have to dance. I remember studying once with Frank Martin at the jazz school in San Francisco. It's now Conservatory, California Conservatory, I think, Jazz Conservatory in San Francisco. And Frank Martin, who's a wonderful teacher, always said, you have to dance these beats. You have to dance them. And that's the way I feel like I dance them when I sing, even internally. I try to incorporate some kind of stillness, but it's hard for me to stand still when I'm singing. I'm so excited. It's hard for me to contain myself. I get so excited when I'm singing. And then there's this other element of theater, which is the storytelling. And I know that studying with May Cavallero, also at the jazz school, I told you I take a lot of classes still. She's all about, the story, the lyrics. And I studied with Maria Marquez there. She taught me a Latin jazz standard workshop. I learned about 14 tunes, I think, in one class of Latin jazz, which I loved. She's a wonderful teacher. So this element, again, of education, I'm so excited about learning and sharing. So we just never stop learning, do we? No matter how old we are. And finally, most importantly, the spirituality and my connection to music through spirituality. And Roberta Donay, my friend, connects me spiritually through music as well. That's another thing altogether. So right now, I'm working on 3 different ideas that I want to do an album about Broadway to jazz. I did a concert at Stanford quite a few years ago that was called Broadway and Beyond. And it was big audience. And what I did, I had a classical singer on stage who would do the Broadway tune in the original key, and it was very big, the way that Broadway usually is. And then I would do the jazz version of it. So we had 2 different piano players, and Larry Vukovic was my piano player. Ruth Davies was the bassist. Akira Tana was on drums. And of course, Noel was on all kinds of reeds. And so the singer was Lisa Wu, was the classical singer, and Robert Rutt was the classical pianist, not classical so much as, Broadway pianist. And they would do their version, and then I followed it with that version. And it also included a lot of history of where these standards came from. So that was such a great experience for me. So I never did an album about that. So I think I'm going to try to do an album about a Broadway, but done in a jazz style. I might try to do some Sondheim. I just saw Company the other night here in New York, which was fantastic. So I think I'll use a little bit of Company, and I think I have some guest artists that might be appearing on that with me. I'm going to probably finalize that soon because I love collaboration. And then my second idea is to do a Middle Eastern album, Middle Eastern music, a jazz album that jazz done in a Middle Eastern style. And I want to make it really danceable because I find often there isn't enough movement dancing. People are always sitting and listening to jazz. And, during the swing era, it was all about movement. It was all about dancing. And I love to have the audience participate. So I want to take this idea of, Middle Eastern music, my finger cymbals, add in some Middle Eastern elements to it. So maybe a doumbek, in addition to, a trap set. I think that would be really, really exciting. Of course, there are Middle Eastern saxophonists. And Noel has this beautiful, soprano sax, his saxophone that he calls Sydney. So after Sidney Bechet, of course, and he plays some really cool Middle Eastern riffs on that. So I would love to have a saxophone, flute, and really get people up and moving to these Middle Eastern grooves. So of course it would have some swing, but it would have all these other beats going on at the same time that I think would be really exciting to get that audience up and moving. And the last, I hope not the last, but my third idea would be to have a bebop album. So I love bebop. I adore rhythm. And, so much of bebop has these really cool rhythms. And I want to learn a bunch of Charlie Parker lines. I know quite a few. And I want to learn these lines so I can sing them. And if they don't already have lyrics, a lot of them do, I want to write the lyrics. I'm a pretty prolific lyricist. I write for a lot of people's songs. I write for Larry Vukovic, Dave Brandberg. I write for Noel all the time. And I want to write more lyrics to bebop tunes. And then Noel does this wonderful thing where he writes these things called shout choruses, which I'm sure you all know what that is. It's over the same chords, but it's another melody over the bebop tune. And there's some beautiful shout choruses that he's written. He wrote a bunch of them for the last album I did with him, the Noel Jukes Septet. So he'd have shout choruses, we do the tune with the melody, and then come back after the solos and do these really tight shout choruses. So that would be on the Bebop album. There would be, the Bebop line, the improvisation, and then the shout choruses. So I think that that is my latest idea. Those are my latest 3 things that I want to do. And I want to thank everybody here that's watching this. If anybody wanted to ask me any questions about Bebop or acting or whatever, you can always reach me at blackolivejazz@gmail.com. And I want to thank Gail Boyd for this wonderful opportunity. So Gail, I can keep on talking, but that's my website that's going up there. So I can talk a little bit more, since we do have about 9 minutes left, about some of my earliest influences. I also love Keely Smith. I think she's quite underrated in terms of, what she created aside from Louis Prima. She's got like this really, really creamy sound. I think that my greatest challenge as a vocalist is consistency, because I have this really huge range. I can sing very, very high and very, very low. So I'm trying to really smooth out that sound and get it in the pocket. I really want to be able to sustain a tone that is pure. And I've been working with Vicki Burns on this. I've had a lot of great singing teachers. And again, extraordinary collaborators. I wrote a song with Larry Vukovich called View from Telegraph Hill. That's also on my website, blackolivejazz.com. It's all about San Francisco. And with Dave Brambert, I wrote some Latin tunes, one called One Heart. Noel and I wrote a song called Cleopatra and the Viper. It's Noel's original music. I have a video that goes with that as well, because I actually played Cleopatra many years ago, Shakespeare's Cleopatra, and I used some of his quotes in that, in my lyrics, and also some of Tennessee Williams in the lyrics, and I play finger cymbals on that as well. So those are a couple of my projects. I have some albums. You can always look up Black Olive Jazz, on Amazon, on CD Baby. I've been out there for a while, and I'm just so very, very grateful for everyone who has believed in me and given me so much support over the years as a vocalist. San Francisco has so many wonderful vocalists that I admire, like Kim Nally, like Jackie Ryan. The list goes on and on of people that have such a deep influence on me. And I had also spoke about Betty Carter. Just to return to her for a moment, she can sound so tender, in her delivery of ballads. And at the same time, she'll just open up on something like tight, just go crazy. Or I'm just trying to think of some of her other stuff where she just goes wild rhythmically. I listen to her all the time. So, Gail, I think that I'm about done. I think I've rattled on for long enough. I just want to thank you again for having me here. I love alternative venues for jazz. If you want to be my Facebook friend, just tell me that you heard me on this program, because I'm a little bit afraid of letting everybody into my Facebook page. But I welcome anyone who would like to share their experiences with me. I'm also on Facebook as Black Olive Jazz also. So